Hello, cosmic beings. Welcome to Being Cosmic. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I am so glad that each and every one of you are here. My name is Devon, and I will be doing a collective message today. So, with that, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Alrighty. So, really quick, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support on the channel. The likes, shares, comments, subscribes, and the donations all do help out. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're interested in a personal reading from me, you can find that information in the description box below. Okay, so in today's message, we are getting into some potential past life stuff that is influencing what you're dealing with now. Okay. We've got medicine man or medicine woman. Okay, if you are like, oh shit, interesting. Um, okay. Okay, sorry. Sometimes the messages just kind of flood in. Okay, give me a second. So, what I'm getting is actually so we've got medicine man or medicine woman in imprisonment or slavery. So, what's interesting here is what I'm getting where it kind of like threw me for a minute is because what could be happening is if you are feeling a little bit nervous to talk about some of your spiritual beliefs, if you're feeling a little bit it, it it kind of in the spiritual closet, basically, where it's like you're into it, it fascinates you. Especially with this medicine man, medicine woman, you could be called to like herbs or natural types of healing, energy work, those kinds of things. So if you really have this draw to it, but there's a part of you that's like you don't want to come out and talk about it to people, and you just kind of keep that part of yourself hidden, it could be because you most likely, and this is actually the case for a lot of us that are on the planet now who are kind of awake and aware of different things, we were persecuted in some way in a past life for our beliefs. And so that's what's really coming through here is if you are feeling a resistance to speaking about it, it absolutely could have something to do with this. And actually, okay, um, this actually is something that I processed a few years ago. Um, Ironically, I think it was actually in, if I remember right, I think it was the springtime of the same year that I actually started this channel. So the thing here is when we're persecuted for our beliefs in a past life, what that causes, it's kind of a soul level thing, but what that causes is this hesitancy to come out and speak about some of these things that go against the narrative and really be seen and really be heard for kind of like a little bit different of belief systems. And for me at the time, and this isn't about me, I'm just using this as an example. At the time I had gone through, well, my spiritual awakening actually started when I was 17, but I was always like awake and aware of different things like my whole life. And then I went through like the full blown actual spiritual awakening, spontaneous Kundalini activation, so on and so forth, and was blissed out for a while, and so on and so forth. And that happened, I think it was like 5 years before I started this channel, at least, maybe a little bit longer. And it was like I was feeling this call to step out into the public eye, to speak about these things, to share my viewpoints and help others on the journey and so on and so forth. I was feeling this call, this soul call to do it. But then there was a block there. There was resistance. And when I had a past life clearing done, all of a sudden it was like a few months later, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I did it. And, there's imposter syndrome and the ego freaking out and all of that. But that big block wasn't there anymore. And it took me a while to fully unpack it and realize, like, oh, this was actually a factor. So if you are going through something similar right now, this could absolutely be something that you are dealing with. Now, a way that you can clear this from yourself, there's a few different ways. One, you can actually consult a past life regressionist. And what they'll do is they'll kind of tap in And whatever your soul feels is necessary for you to know at the time, they will get kind of that insight. Sometimes they'll get visions about your past life, things like that, and then they'll actually be able to kind of clear some of those blocks. So that could be something to look into. The other thing is you can actually do this on your own. So you can call on whatever beings you work with, galactic beings, angels, ancestors, spirit guides, just the divine itself, and just intend to release any blocks or anything like that from a past life that is stopping you from fully aligning with your most authentic self in this lifetime. And then also intend to bring back, because when we experience major traumas, even in this life, sometimes there can be a little soul fragment that sticks there. And so then what you do is you call back that piece of your soul into this now moment. And then I would recommend, if you do something like that, journal about it. And then, a few months later, all of a sudden, if you're just feeling better and so on and so forth, it might not even be something you fully realize and put the pieces together on until later, because the effects can be a little more, you just don't really realize it. Like, you'll feel better, but then you don't realize how much that can actually positively affect you until later, when all of a sudden you start making these decisions and you start, really putting yourself out there in a way. You start speaking about things that you know to be true. And it's not in a way to have like an ego battle with somebody. It's in a way of like, no, this is what I believe. And, everybody's, inclined to their own beliefs, their own truths. This is just my truth. And then it's one of those like, oh, before I wasn't really able to talk about these things and now I am. So, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm really getting, I know it says imprisonment or slavery. I'm getting more persecution energy. Like you were persecuted for your beliefs when it came to this. Now, this could have been, there's another kind of vision that I'm getting when it comes to this. Okay, so I was getting another vision, and it was more of being like an indigenous, like a shaman or something like that. I guess, medicine man, medicine woman, shaman, kind of tomato, tomato, in a sense. Um, but it's like an indigenous tribe that was very much affected by colonization. Um, so maybe you've got kind of a resonance with that. And so it's mainly just, if this is feeling like it resonates with you, I would definitely recommend to look into doing something about it, because something like this can have an effect on you that you don't realize. And so even if you're kind of a little skeptical, like, oh, maybe not, I'm not sure. If you were to seek out somebody, a past life regressionist, and just give it a shot and just be open to it, you might be surprised on how much something like this can affect you. I'll be honest, when I did it, it was at a metaphysical fair, and it was just it was a mini session, because that's what they do at metaphysical fairs. You get a mini session. And so it was just a mini session, and I was like, I've never tried this before with another person, so I'll try it. And it was a profound experience. And so I would say to just give it a try. Worst that's gonna happen is nothing. So, like that's how I look at this shit. I'm like, we'll give it a shot. Okay. Is there anything else that is affecting the collective from a past life that they are being brought into the awareness of at this time? Is there another one? Knighthood. Okay. Okay, so different getting a different past life, but it's like this imprisonment energy might actually correlate to the knighthood. I'm getting also, if you have a real aversion to authority, this could be part of it as well. Part of it, honestly, it's just your soul. A lot of us on this journey do have an aversion to authority because it's control. Um, but this could be another factor. Like, that is kind of another layer. And I'm being guided to read this one. So let's see here. I remember my alphabet. Hold on. Okay. Once a knight, always a knight. This is a validation of your inner knighthood. Whether you're a man and a woman in this life, you have the heart and the mind of a knight. Most likely, you've had a fascination with tales and images of knights. Maybe you collect knight figurines, decorate with knight related artwork, and even dress up as a knight during costume parties. In relationships and careers, you're drawn to defend those who are weak or vulnerable. You may choose a profession that puts you into a guardian or protector role. It's essential that you only work for organizations that you fully believe in. As a knight, you're loyal to those who earn your respect. Otherwise, you're not happy. And I'm getting like this natural protector energy. So if you have a natural protector energy, you definitely could have been a knight in the past life. Um, it's interesting though, because I'm not getting like a wound or something that's like negatively affecting you. Except maybe it's one of those like you have that inner loyalty, you have that inner protector about you. You'll stand up for people around you. You'll stand up for somebody who's getting picked on or something like that. Maybe that's just something that's always been in you. And it absolutely could be because of this past life. Um, and it came up now for you to be aware of. So maybe there is something here about that past life that you're being made aware of. Maybe it's just confirmation on why you feel drawn to those things or why you have that inner sense of being a protector or being really loyal to certain causes or certain people, things like that. Um okay, we're gonna pull one more. All right. So those two are together. Oh, and a part of it too could be so if you had a past life where you were persecuted for your beliefs or you were imprisoned for, a slave, basically. There is, slavery goes back in just all over history. And it's not a race thing, it's not an ethnicity thing. It's just it was it's been a part of human history. Unfortunately, it just is what it is though. I mean, there's when you look into history, there's slavery just throughout. Um, and so if you have an extra like resistance to control to slavery in general, like when you hear about it, if it really hits you in a different way, like it just strikes this inner chord, it could be because you have a past life where you were in that position where you were a slave, where you were or imprisoned, which kind of tomato tomato again. um but that could definitely be a factor here as well. And so it's just sometimes it's helpful to just be aware of it because it kind of provides clarity on certain things that you're just like, I don't know why, but that's just the way I am. And sometimes it's because of these past life experiences. And it's not about needing to remember all of these past lives. Because honestly, that would be very overwhelming for our human brain to remember every past life and all of the good and the bad and the this and the that. And so it's not necessarily you need to remember it. It's more of just the fact of being aware that this could be affecting you in ways that you're not really aware of. And then that way you can because ultimately this is about bringing those parts of yourself back and standing in your authenticity. And then really being able to rise in the way that you chose to rise in this lifetime. And also understanding that we live in a world where, I mean, yes, there's censorship issues and control of information and smear campaigns and this and that and the other. So we are still dealing with persecution for your beliefs. That is just a fact. It is what it is. However, it's not like it used to be. It used to be like if you had a different belief system depending on different time periods, if you had a different belief system, if you viewed things a little bit differently, you were persecuted. I mean, even look at like the most famous example, which is Jesus. Like, it's been, and then, you've got the witch trials and the this and the that, and it's just all throughout history where that has been a factor. And it was literally like fatal if people found out about it. And so it's understanding that thankfully you came back in this lifetime where it's not quite like that. You still might deal with naysayers or, verbal issues and things like that, but it's safer in this lifetime to come out with these different belief systems. And that could absolutely be part of it. So if you're being called to kind of speak about some of these things, but then you're feeling a hard resistance to it, this could be a factor. This could absolutely be a factor. Um, we're doing one more. Maybe. I heard one more. Were we doing one more? There it is. Love life. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So that's fascinating. The reason that's fascinating is because for this collective for a while, there has been a big focus on higher level love, higher level commitment. And so if there's love life stuff that happened in past lives, that could be part of a block that you are dealing with. I'm gonna read this one. Yeah, let's get more information on this. Okay. This comes as an indication that your love life is affected by one or more previous lifetimes. Most likely, you had a painful experience in one of those lives that caused you to be overly cautious. In such case, in such cases, working on yourself can help you reopen your beautiful, loving heart. In that way, you can love and be loved again. It's also likely this comes as a validation that the man or woman you're romantically interested in was also a prominent person in your past life. This individual may not necessarily have been a romantic partner at that time, but your inclination to connect romantically in this life is definitely part of a greater plan. Okay, I'm going to sit with that for just a second. So it's really interesting because when this card flipped over, it was like, it was this feeling of like, there it is. So I feel like the spiritual closet thing is definitely a factor for quite a few of you. Take that as it resonates. I feel like the meat of this reading is actually this card because I sat with it for a minute and I was asking like, is this something from this lifetime, this lifetime? And it was like, yes, yes, yes. For some of you, if you have your eyes on a specific person, you could have wanted to be with this person in every lifetime that you encountered them, but something didn't allow it. And so if you're really being drawn to somebody right now in a romantic sense, that could be why. This could be because I'm seeing, so there's a card in this other deck and it's the unfinished symphony card. And it's been coming a lot bleh, it's been coming out a lot in some of the other readings where we're talking about this thread of energy where it's like you are being pulled to somebody in an unexplainable way. This could be what it is it could be an unfinished symphony from multiple lifetimes, not only just this life. So that could explain part of the intensity of the pull that you are feeling towards a specific person. If you're not feeling pulled towards a specific person, what I'm getting is there's this deep desire, this deep want to have a high level love, but there's just stuff that happens all the time. It just hasn't manifested for you in this life. And it could be past life stuff that you're being made aware of now, that you're being called to release, heal, and pull back those pieces of yourself. And then that is going to change your energy to a place where you can actually experience this in this lifetime. Um, that's very profound. Very, very profound. So let's see if anything else wants to come out about this. Is there anything else about the love life that might have been felt pop? Is there anything else about this love life? Greco-Roman. Okay, so there could be something here as well. Um, back to like Greek and Roman, to like ancient Greek, ancient Rome, those times. And that could actually be, this could be the same life, the knighthood in this one. Um, and I'm getting, for some of you, it's really interesting kind of the visual that I'm getting. For some of you, you could have been like a knight, and the person that you were protecting was the person that you wanted to be with, but you couldn't because of like the social class at that time. So, okay, this is interesting. I'm just going to follow this. Take this if it resonates. This feels very, very specific. For some of you, if you are being drawn, and I'm really getting like a masculine energy who's drawn to a feminine, but there is a part of you that doesn't feel worthy, this could be why. It could be because if you're looking at this person is above you in some way, they're on a pedestal and you're feeling not worthy, you're feeling like there's an imbalance and you couldn't be with them because of this reason or that reason. It actually might be this past life stuff. Um that's being activated within you that's kind of assisting you in feeling that way, because back in those days, if you were charged with protecting a royal or whatever they were called back in these days, um and then and I'm getting it was a mutual thing, so it's like you and this person in this lifetime mutually like loved each other, but you couldn't be together because of the social economic differences at the time. And that could absolutely be a factor here that you're being asked to kind of look at and release, pull those parts of yourself back in and know that that isn't a factor in this lifetime. So that could definitely be something that is a block when it comes to actually pursuing this person. Wow, that's really profound. Um, okay. Okay, I'm being guided to read this one as well. So there's some extra oomph in here. Okay. It indicates you had a significant life in Greece or Rome that is influencing the situation you're inquiring about. You've made it You may have noticed you're drawn to Greco-Roman architecture, culture, and spirituality. Perhaps you've even visited areas of the Mediterranean which felt strangely similar. Often when we visit a place we've lived in other lives, we experience a sense of deja vu. During your Greco-Roman lifetime, you had experiences and relationships that formed the basis for your present life situation. You've also carried the knowledge forward that you gained in that lifetime. Now you're consciously aware of your connection to Greece and Rome. Spend some time researching these ancient cultures and the spirituality associated with those places. Your research will trigger memories and insights, and you'll come to better understand yourself and your situation. It's funny how some of this stuff kind of works. Like for me personally, I'm being guided to speak about this for whatever reason, but I've always had a fascination with Greek mythology. And so even as a kid, like I named my first dog after um well, it was Hebe. And so that was um a wife of or daughter of Zeus. Yeah, anyways, and then like since then I've had like multiple animals that I've named after Greek mythos, Hades, Ares, Athena, Hercules, continue, on and on. So that could be something if you've kind of done stuff like that and you've naturally been drawn to those kinds of things. Oftentimes that is a past life thing. You have a past life resonance with it. So if you've noticed that over your life, even if it's other stuff, Egypt or like the Incas, Aztecs, different stuff like that. Also, Lemuria came up before I started doing this reading, which is interesting. So you could have a connection with Lemuria, with Atlantis, things like that. So kind of, dig into it a little bit. This is also part of the reason I'm speaking to somebody who's had quite a bit of lifetimes. You're an ancient soul. And so there's also this sense of just knowing things. And you've probably always been like this, where you just know things. You probably heard things like, "You're just wise beyond your years. You're an old soul." Um, and it's true. So that could be something to just kind of pay attention to. Like some of these things that you're interested in and you just have a fascination with them and you don't know why. It could be Native American or indigenous culture, type stuff that you're drawn to. Maybe it's like the shaman drums and the rattles and just stuff like that. It can actually be carried over from past lives. What I'm really getting though is the main life that is affecting your love life right now is this Greek and Roman one, and then this knighthood one. And I'm feeling like that is what is directly affecting your love life in this lifetime. And then this is more about getting out of the spiritual closet. Was this medicine man, medicine woman in this imprisonment or slavery? And I'm still getting that persecuted for your beliefs energy off of that. And so if those are the two areas of life that you're really kind of struggling with a little bit or a lot of it, this could be a big factor on why. And so it's just helpful to kind of have that clarity because then you can do something about it. And then it doesn't negatively affect you. Confirmation. It doesn't negatively affect you anymore. Um, so okay. Is that it? Is that it? Okay. Okay, so the other thing, I'm being guided to offer this. I don't actually have a past life regression service available. Um, but I help people with this. And so if you're interested in working with me on past life regression, send me an email. That information is in the description box. And then it's also on it's like the about me or description or something like that on the channel page. Definitely shoot me an email and we can kind of talk about that. And I would love to help you with this. It's actually it's very liberating. It really is. If you're not guided to work with me, no worries. No offense taken. I would definitely recommend though, because these are two big areas of life that are being affected right now for you. And so I would definitely recommend seeking out past life regressionists or doing like your own kind of ceremony and bringing those parts of yourself back and releasing what is blocking you or what the imbalance is that's been carried over into this lifetime so that you can really lock in. I'm getting the spiritual closet thing has something to do with soul purpose. So that's a very big part of your life. And then, love life, that's another very big part of your life. So if you're struggling with one or both of these, I would highly recommend kind of doing a little bit of deep diving on this subject in really looking into it because it can be so healing and just so liberating. And then all of a sudden you kind of just start being a little bit different. Your confidence comes back in a different way. You're not there's not as much resistance when your soul's calling you to something, and you're more likely to listen to it and follow it because there's not this looming thing like soul memory that's like, oh, well, last time it was really not great. Last time it wasn't possible for this, or last time we got, physically injured in some way, or humiliated or whatever it is for like spiritual beliefs and things like that. So, or silenced. I just heard that too. So this could be something, for the spiritual closet thing. This could be something where you were silenced about your beliefs. You weren't allowed to talk about it. You weren't allowed to, you had to like be really secretive. You couldn't really trust anybody to talk to about these things. You had to keep a lot to yourself, stuff like that. And that could be really carried over into this lifetime. And it's like almost instantaneous sometimes when you have these sessions and when you do this soul retrieval, where all of a sudden you'll wake up the next day and just be like, oh, I'm gonna go like I'm gonna reach out to this person. I'm gonna, start a heart-centered, spiritually led business, or I'm gonna write that book that I've been wanting to but haven't been able to, or whatever it is. It's just it can be pretty profound and pretty instantaneous. So I would highly, highly recommend to look into that. With that though, I do feel like this is the end of this message. So yeah, I really hope this helps. And yeah, if this resonates, definitely let me know in the comments below. I would love to talk to you about it. Feel free to hit that like button. It does help out the channel, so thank you. And if you would like to see more from me, you can hit subscribe. It is free. I will see you on the next message. Bye.